Hello, it's Richard Pears from FinextraTV, and delighted today to be joined by Aaron McCreary from New Energy Nexus and Brian Luciani from Barclays Rise in New York. Good day, gentlemen.
Hey there, thanks for
How
having
are
us.
you?
Yeah, great. Good to have you on board today. Now, Brian, you head Rise, which is the accelerator startup piece in New York for Barclays. You'll tell us more about that in a minute. And Aaron, people may remember we've interviewed before from New Energy Nexus, and good to have you with us today. We're talking about a new initiative, the Climate Fintech Card and Payment Challenge. And this is an innovation program that you're doing to bring together multinational financial institutions and collaboration opportunities with startups. Tell us a bit more about that. Perhaps, Aaron, you could start us off.
Sure. This initiative really started off thinking about digital financial technology and the way that it can catalyze decarbonization. And of course, there's a lot of work around ESG, climate risk. We really wanted to focus in on this piece around empowering the green consumer and what that means from a payments perspective and a cards perspective. So we went out and connected with Barclays, and we're really excited about all of the partners that have joined this initiative as we sort of nurture innovation over the next few months.
Cool. And Brian, why did you guys want to get involved with this?
The challenge really aligns perfectly with our focus. Rise is a global community of the world's top innovators working together to create the future for financial services. And Barclays already has a strong culture of partnering with and investing in fintech companies and supporting up and coming fintechs. So for Rise and Barclays to continue to innovate in this particular space around climate just keeps us on the cutting edge of building that sustainable future.
Cool. So tell us about the vision and purpose. What is it you're trying to achieve with this challenge, and take us through a little bit of the the whole headline for it.
Sure, I'll take a stab. It seems that more and more every day there's an increasing number of consumers interested in taking climate action, and there's often a convoluted pathway to get there. Some studies show recently there's a report that came out by Maniga that over 60% of consumers want to take this type of climate action in their daily banking activities. And so we really wanted to sort of think about the daily interactions that you have when you make a purchase, when you make a transaction, and then when you go back to pay your credit card bill, and how that sort of journey and experience can be tweaked and modified to take climate action. So this challenge is really a sort of a 3-month scope. We have an open call right now until the 1st of October. We'll be shortlisting and then working with 10 finalists during the first 2 weeks of November to sort of deepen those innovations and connect them with the partners that are involved.
Very good. And what's the role of Barclays in Rise in this? Are you hosting it out of all your sort of centers around the world, or is it located specifically in New York, Brian?
Yeah, so we're excited to host everybody in person in New York for a kickoff during New York City Climate Week. And then throughout the challenge, there will be certain sprint periods to be hosted on site as well. The open call, though, to Aaron's point, is global. So in the same way that we are, we're very excited to see what solutions come from that sort of wider set of folks. And to the extent they can come to New York, we're excited to see everybody there.
That's cool. Some people sort of say, why the consumer? The burden always lands on the poor old consumer. Why do we need this solution?
Well, there's a lot of waste and emissions that are sort of resultant from the stuff that we buy. And so if we can sort of tackle that supply chain and the education of our consumption patterns, there can be a tremendous impact in the way that we consume and the carbon emissions of individuals. The transparency that's desired by the average person on their footprint, and then the incentivization of them to sort of take action around that footprint is still quite disconnected. So we're trying to connect those dots, and it's great that such large financial institutions want to be involved because they already have this infrastructure at scale. They already have millions of customers, and so deploying these types of innovations could have a pretty meaningful impact in a shorter period of time.
And so do you see this sort of, this nudge behavior, which we've seen in other ways, saving and financial inclusion and so forth, you see it working for climate, biodiversity, waste, etc. And I might therefore end up with solutions that are telling me what my shopping basket, is contributing to in terms of, carbon or whatever it might be. Is that the kind of vision that you might have? Obviously, you're going to leave it to the innovators, but.
Yeah, I think to jump in on the points Aaron just made, I think any opportunity that we have to leverage these latest technologies and impact the way that we're all spending, those things that we buy, to your point, and how we ensure those things, how payments are handled and processed, just all of those intermediary steps that you see throughout the life cycle, which at Barclays in the US Consumer Bank, we do have a great insight to. It's so exciting to think about plugging in a technology that will just give consumers a choice, right, about the way they want to drive some of that behavior and impact.
And Brian, obviously it's pretty tough to get a grip on what's happening down a whole supply chain, which is why this is such an interesting innovation. Will you guys be sort of coaching and helping the innovators to make sure that there's good provenance of data and the quality of the sort of analysis they're giving is got some validation?
Yeah. So in addition to what we'll be receiving from the innovators who are submitting to be a part of the challenge, all of the sponsors are actually providing their APIs. And so that sort of dual comparison between what is available and what you'll have access to as a part of the challenge is a really, really great asset that you don't tend to see in a lot of other challenges like this. Also, along the 3-week sprint, we're looking at exposing participants to mentorship opportunities, matchmaking, and technologies from our other strategic partners. So some of those largest players in the credit and payment space are going to tangentially be related and really broaden that sort of access pool, which is super exciting.
That's really cool. And do you are you looking at any particular technologies, or are you just kind of saying you can go for the whole palette of blockchain to cloud to AI, whatever it may be?
Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of Barclays, but there are 4 key partners that have joined this initiative. So it's Barclays, MasterCard, Duconomy, and Patch. And if you look at sort of the functions of each of those firms in this context, they each sort of fill a different niche, a different need around the measurement or deployment or the action that one can take on this journey. And so we're really excited about how those puzzle pieces come together. And so as a result of that diversity, I think there is quite a range of what people are looking at. Though more specifically, there are some problem statements that are from our corporates. They're on our site, cnpchallenge.com. And so you can really sort of see what each of the partners are looking for from a technology standpoint.
Okay, that's really cool. I like it when you get a good crisp problem statement. That helps the startups enormously. Why do you think now is the time, for this sort of innovation to come to market? You touched earlier on about obviously consumers feeling kind of activated. What else do you think is really driving this initiative at this time?
I want to let Brian participate as well, but I think there's obviously a lot of momentum from a regulatory perspective. And so when you log on and you see the news every day about all of this climate action from the top down, I think there's sort of this sense of frustration that how do you participate as an average consumer from the bottom up? What do you do? Recycling is really not enough anymore. And I think there's also these very palpable experiences, wildfires and flooding, which sort of is applying additional pressure on the average person to want to take action. So we're just trying to sort of weave accessible, simple, digestible solutions into your sort of average consumption activity, and the experience you have when you log in to pay your credit card payment in taking climate action.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that, Aaron, just that Barclays has made a commitment to be a carbon-free bank by 2050, and we're an active member in participant in COP26. So when you think about these macro level challenges that institutions are facing, we're certainly looking at addressing those through a variety of ways. And it's exciting to have now a piece of what we're looking at and innovating on be really consumer driven.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, it's really, I mean, exciting, and I've been sort of waiting for this time for the consumer propositions to come through. Aaron knows for some while, so excited about that. Tell me, how can people get involved? You mentioned the website. How else can they get involved? What have they got to think about to get ready for applying?
Yeah, I think the main message to startups is please apply. We'd love to see your solutions. Even if you don't fit into this exact payments and cards niche, there's going to be follow-on programming around Climate Fintech in 2022. And so it really helps us to get your name in the hat for those future initiatives. If you're an investor, VC, we also might look to engage with you from a mentorship perspective. Doing pitch training and that sort of thing. Other judging opportunities for industry experts, other master classes which we're looking to offer. So in general, just feel free to reach out in any capacity. We're trying to build a community around this initiative.
Yeah, and for anybody looking to do some additional research in the space, NEN and Rise have both separately put out two really great bodies of work around climate fintech, specifically that intersection of those two sort of industries into one, and looking at the way fintech is playing in that space so heavily now. So would encourage folks to go take a look at those online as well.
That's great. Well, listen, thanks for telling us about it. We want to hear more. Obviously, as you progress through the whole service, come back to us, and we'll start to hopefully let everybody know about the people that have applied and the winners.
Sounds great. Thank you, Richard, for having us.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed talking to you. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.